So the IAC bus stands for Inter-Application Control Bus, and it allows you to send MIDI data between applications. But we're going to use it in a slightly different way. We'll just look at this diagram here. So that square box there is the entire Mac system, and you can use the IAC bus to send data between applications, say for example from Live to Reason, or from Reason to Live. Could have come up with something more imaginative than that, couldn't I? But what we're going to use it for is we're going to send data out of Live to the IAC bus and then send it back in for a specific reason. The specific reason is as follows. We want to be able to record audio clips of a predetermined length. Now, prior to push existing, you had to do this anytime you wanted to record an audio clip of a predetermined length. Since push, you can now record audio clips of predetermined lengths, but you're restricted to what's available in the fixed length menu on push. So on the fixed length menu, you can record 1 beat, 2 bars, 1 bar, 2 bars, 4 bars, 8 bars, 16 bars, or 32 bars. If you want to record an audio clip of a predetermined length of any other duration, you've got to use the IAC bus. The IAC bus is also useful for some other stuff, which we'll go on to look at. But the first application of it that we're going to use is recording audio clips of a predetermined length. If it's not a predetermined length, you're doing everything in real time on the fly, aren't you? And so if you're recording, say, an audio clip onto this channel, I'll just turn the metronome on to see what happens. We'll get a 2-bar count in, and then it starts to record. But to stop it recording, I need to tell it to stop recording. And if I'm playing a guitar or an instrument or doing anything else, I'm a little bit preoccupied, it's not great to have to do that. With MIDI clips, you don't need to worry about it because you just create a MIDI clip like that. But you can't do that with audio clips, can you? Nope. You have to actually record an audio clip to create one. With a MIDI clip, if you want a 10-bar MIDI clip, you create a MIDI clip, you set it to 10 bars, and then you record into it like that. As long as you've got overdub switched on. Okay, so that MIDI clip's just recording away, and I don't have to tell it to stop recording because once it reaches, however, I've made it 30 bars. However, once it reaches the end of 30 bars, it's going to stop recording and then it's going to start to loop. So we need the IAC bus for this with audio clips. Okay, so first things first, we have to check that it's turned on. Now, to check that it's turned on, you can go to Spotlight and type in audio. Audio MIDI setup will appear. Hit enter. And we need to see the MIDI studio window. If you don't see that window, if you just see this window, go to the window menu there and then show MIDI studio. We can then double click the IAC driver to check that it's turned on. So devices online needs to be ticked, and you should see 1 bus down here. Once we know that it's turned on, we need to go into the Ableton Live Preferences and go to the Link MIDI tab. Now then, the Link MIDI tab. You guys probably won't get too much out of this by trying to follow along with me. I would just take notes if I was you. I mean, it's up to you, as always. You're grown-ups. But if I was you, I would just take notes and just watch what's happening. So there are inputs and outputs available to configure, set up as MIDI ports. You see right at the top there, IAC driver bus 1, and then halfway down the list, output IAC driver bus 1. So you need to tell Live how to interact with the IAC bus as an input and an output. And the key to this is you need to have, as an input, you need to have remote switched on and nothing else. And as an output, you need to have track switched on and nothing else. I'll show you why. So output here, we see IAC driver, track on. Now if we turn that off, and we go into live, now this is a MIDI track, and this is its output chooser. It's currently set to no output. What I want is I want the IAC driver to appear here because I want to send information to the IAC bus, and then remember we're going to retrieve it again and bring it back into live. But in order for it to be available as a destination, that needs to be switched on. So what that's telling you is the output to the IAC driver, it's available as a track destination. And now we can do it. Now we can send MIDI information to the IAC bus. So if we go back to the diagram, we've just facilitated this bit, yeah, from live to the IAC bus. You also need to make sure that it's set up as a remote input. Input IAC driver remote on, and output IAC driver track on. Everything else to do with the IAC should be off, otherwise you might run into problems. Okay, so what we're going to do, I want to be able to record an audio clip of, I'll start with 1 bar because it's easy. I was going to ask someone to suggest a duration there, but I'll just start with 1 bar because it's easy to see how it works. But we'll do 17 bars after this. Okay, so we create a MIDI clip, from here on known as a dummy clip, but I'm just going to entitle it 1 bar. And I'm going to put inside this MIDI clip 2 MIDI notes on the highest possible note, which is G8. The reason I'm putting it on the highest possible note is because I want to use a note that I'm probably not going to use musically in the performance. I want a note that's out of the way. So as high as possible, G8, and then I'm going to increase the length of that to 2 bars, and I'm going to put another G8 right at the start of the second bar. I'm also going to turn loop off because we don't want it to loop round and round, we just want it to do this once. Okay, so, oh, that needs to end there, by the way, so we get the entire 2 bars. So what's going to happen with these 2 MIDI notes is, through the magic of the IAC bus, this note is going to trigger an audio clip to record, and then this note is going to tell it to stop recording. So here's what we do. We've got our 2 notes, we've turned loop off, it's not a loop anymore, it'll just run straight through once. I'm then going to slow the tempo down just while I set this up and go into MIDI map mode. Once I'm in MIDI map mode, you can see that you can map clip slots. So we need to be able to map clip slots, otherwise this wouldn't work. I'm going to select that clip slot, come out of MIDI map mode and run that. Did you see what happened there? I'll repeat the process just in case you didn't. By the way, I've selected the wrong clip slot there, so I'll just delete that. I'll tell you, I'm going to do this slightly differently. I'm going to run it. I'll turn the metronome off so we don't have to listen to it. I'm going to run it so it's playing along, happily playing along. And now I'm going to go into MIDI map mode and select that clip slot and watch. Ah, it stopped. Okay, I know why it stopped. It stopped because I turned loop off. So during this setup process, loop might be useful, as you can see. We'll run it. I'll go into MIDI map mode. I'll select that, and it should map it to this now. There you go. Okay. So what we've done now is we've mapped this clip slot to the note G8. It tells you up here, note G8, MIDI channel 1. The path, this is the track name, by the way, and the name is slot number 1. Just repeat that, just in case you want to see it one more time. So we run the clip. I've got looping turned on this time. The reason I've got it slowed all the way down is just so we can see at which point the MIDI note is mapped to the clip slot. While this clip's running round and round, remember, we're sending information out of this MIDI channel to the IAC bus. You see it going every time it passes one of those notes. You can see on the indicator there that the information's being sent. So because we're sending that information to the IAC bus, and we've set the IAC bus up as a remote control, once we go into MIDI map mode, Ableton Live is saying, right, okay, send me some MIDI information. Send me some MIDI information. And as soon as you send me some MIDI information, I'll map that MIDI information to the previous thing that you've just selected. So that's why, while this is looping round and round, we go into MIDI map mode, we select that, and the next MIDI information that it receives, which happens to be the note G8, it maps to that clip slot. So now any instance of G8 in our session is going to trigger that clip slot, which means I'll stop all clips now, and I'll turn the metronome back on, and we record on this track, and run the sequencer. I'll get it back to 120 BPM. When I trigger this clip, that clip slot's triggered, then it records, then it stops recording.